Well, it seems I gotta dive into the movie aspect things here because it seems Five Nights at Freddy's has crossed the threshold to be one of the biggest horror movies to ever make the box office. And they also released on Peacock's streaming service when they came out in the theater. So it goes to show you how little the streaming services really do matter when it comes to the theater. If people want to see it in the theater, they will see it there, and they're making hand over fist. Meanwhile, you have things like Disney and Marvel coming out with the Marvels, and it be an absolute stinker because it doesn't make anywhere close to what FNAF did with $25 million versus the $274 million budget of the Marvels. This is a interesting time in Hollywood and movies alike. Well, before I talk more about the numbers, this is one of those videos you want to sit here and watch and like and subscribe. And you know what? Come back again. Come back to the channel. Let me draw you in with the idea that the Marvels is absolutely tanking at the box office and Five Nights at Freddy's is absolutely the king of horror right now. So Five Nights at Freddy's is the blue bar here. The Marvels is the red bar, and they are way down here at $65 million, where Five Nights at Freddy's is sitting all the way up here at 113, doubling almost their entire box office run by that time. That's insane. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's had a $25 million USD budget, where they show a $274 million budget wasted, more wasted money, more bloat coming out of Disney, and it's an absolute stinker at the box office. It's absolutely horrific to see these things. You know, nobody wants to see Brie Larson play Captain Marvel, and maybe one day we can all cheer when Rogue comes in and takes all her powers, because that's what happens with the mutants of the X-Men. They come in and they take it all away, and then we get an actual storyline that is worth telling, back with Wolverine and everything. I'm looking forward to the Deadpool 3 movie. It'll be interesting to see how well that does in comparison to the Marvels. I don't think it's going to be nearly the stinker that this one is. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's. I do have my beefs about the movie. It didn't feel like it was a horror movie, but it did have horror aspects. The idea of the aspects where it's animatronics that are possessed by children that have been killed and stuffed into a animatronic stuffed bear sort of thing. That is very horror-esque sort of storytelling, the idea that this happened, but then they portrayed it as something that was a lot of fun. People flocked to the theater to see it, and I am not surprised because Scott Cawthon has a winning combination with Five Nights at Freddy's. Even himself, he was surprised when his indie game of Five Nights at Freddy's really did take off to the way it is. It has spawned a new generation of games like that. And that is part of the reason why the game does so well. And now you've got plushies, you've got toys everywhere. You know, it really brings you back to the good old days where you had He-Man and G.I. Joe and Star Wars. Everything was made to produce the toys, to sell the toys. But now the kids today, they don't like what they're seeing, so they don't flock to buy all the toys, and you see them showing up in the dollar store. You see Iron Man figures showing up in the dollar store for very cheap and very little, and you see the same thing, what was it, Rose Tico with the new Star Wars version? You saw that on the dollar store shelf very much so. You do see a few Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, but you've got Funko Pops everywhere, which I believe they actually just had a bankruptcy sort of thing. I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember. I think I covered that a while back. But that aside from it, there is so much more branding with the Five Nights at Freddy's. It's an IP that's going to be worth billions of dollars very, very soon. And it's going to be one that's going to live on. Like the king, it really is. Anyway, hope you like this short little one. You know, it's not every day I get to promote Five Nights at Freddy's because they did something very special here, and I think Scott Cawthon has a winning formula with his Five Nights at Freddy's. Just, I hope he doesn't ruin it in the future with the future renditions of movies that are going to come out and more games, and it's going to bring a whole generation under the fold of a horror-like aspect of animatronics. Anyway, have yourselves a great day. I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix Cinder Shadow, and I will catch you again very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.